welcome back to my channel. Today I am filming another episode of the Lunar Knits Podcast. My name is Lori and I am your host here. So it's been a little bit since I filmed my last podcast, really my last knitting video, but I lost my mojo there for a while, which is anybody's surprise because that's been happening a lot lately. For the past 2 years or so, it's really been off and on with knitting mojo, but it is back and with a vengeance. So I do have a few finished objects to talk about today, and then something that I'm working on. And it's been really fun getting back into knitting. And I think the thing that got me back into knitting is actually recycling old projects. So I guess I'm just gonna dive in and talk about the first thing that we're gonna show you today, which is what I'm wearing. But I did turn my air conditioning to 85, so hopefully it won't kick on. But if you see my face get more flush as we go on, it's because it's gonna get hot in here and I'm wearing a sweater and jeans. Now that we've got that out of the way, I am going to just jump into talking about what I'm wearing. This is the Posey cardigan by somebody's name that I can't say. I will put it on the screen or have it linked down below. This pattern is so cute. It is just a little tiny cardigan, which mine came out small-ish. It's the size I want it, but I only had 2 skeins of yarn to work with. So this pattern also does originally have lace detailing on the shoulders and on the bottom, which I omitted. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yes, this is what it looks like. It just has a couple of buttons here. It has a placket is what it's called in the pattern. So the button band is knit with the rest of the cardigan. It's a drop shoulder, as you can see. It is knit from the top down, which I love. And it has some cute ribbing at the end. The sleeves are 3/4 length, which you guys know I really enjoy that length. And it kind of goes longer in the back than it is in the front because of my tatas, if you will. So I'm just gonna say that. Let me adjust myself back to where I want to be. Okay, so I knit this sweater using 3 Irish Girls yarn, and it is in the colorway Cherry and More, I'm pretty sure. I got this yarn back in 2018 perhaps, maybe 2017, but I'm thinking 18. And I originally knit the Tenya sweater. So if you guys have been following me for a while, I would have talked about this in maybe the first or second podcast episode. I talked about my Tenya sweater by Caitlin Hunter. It's got the cute lace on the bottom, and it's just a drop shoulder, short sleeve top. And at that time, really enjoyed that style, loved it. However, it was the first sweater that I ever knit, and I didn't really understand gauge. So it was very small, even for my body back then. My body has changed significantly since I've knit this sweater and some of the other ones I'll show you that I frogged. But yeah, so it didn't fit then, and it definitely didn't fit now, and I just love the yarn. It's a pale peachy pink color, and it's got blue and brown speckles in it, and it's really special, and I didn't want it to go to waste. So all these years, I have known that I was going to eventually frog it. It was just getting in the right headspace to want to do that. So I finally did randomly one day. I was like, I'm gonna frog this thing, which it sucks because it's knit from the bottom up. So I had to rip out the sleeves, then rip out the seaming, and then rip it all out. It did take a little bit of time. Fortunately for myself, I did not alternate skeins on that project, so it wasn't so bad. I'll talk about that a little bit later when I get into a project I'm working on now. But yeah, so I ripped it out, and it was in separate balls, obviously, so I didn't alternate skeins again. And originally I cast on the Posey sweater, the Posey cardigan, the Posey top, whatever, and I was doing the lace. I had cast it on for the back, or the placket. You start on the placket and then you do the shoulder, the front half, and then the back half. I don't even know. It's one of those ones where you do the back and then you attach the shoulders. But anyways, I started doing the lace on the first shoulder, completed the lace, and then I went to do the lace for the second part of the other shoulder. So the second front sweater shoulder, whatever. I tried to do the lace on the other side and the numbers weren't matching up, and it became really frustrating to try to figure out. I spent 2 hours on it, and I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna put it aside. I cast it on something else that I finished that I'll show you. And then I came back to the yarn and it was sitting there and I was like, you know what? Who says I have to do the lace? I ripped out a pattern that had lace on it that I was never wearing. So why would I want to make another lace sweater? Although I thought it was beautiful because lace is beautiful and it would make such a beautiful heirloom piece. Honestly, I knew I wouldn't enjoy it as much as just a plain stockinette sweater. So that's what I decided to do, is knit just all of it in stockinette. I followed the instructions pretty much to a T. I just didn't do any of the lace stuff. I did have to use the chart in the pattern to remember where to increase at, but once I got the increase pattern down, it was totally fine. I just knit stockinette instead of lace. So like I said, I only had 2 skeins of this yarn and it had been ripped out from another project, so it was a little bit less than 2 skeins because you know all the ends that you have woven in and the scraps that you threw away anyways. So what I did is I knit all the way until I joined for the body, so under the sleeves, and then I finished the skein or the ball of yarn that I was on. When I finished that ball of yarn, I attached one of the other balls to the sleeve and knit the sleeve according to pattern. I do believe she has them as 3/4 lengths in her pattern, but you know, sleeves are so easy. You can modify them however you want. And then once I finished that sleeve, I did the other sleeve to exactly the same. Then I used the rest of the yarn that I had to knit the body as long as I possibly could. And this is all the yarn that I have left from those skeins, which is great because there was like a ball that I hadn't used for the Tenya that was sitting in my scrap bin. So I've gotten that yarn out of my scrap bin now, and I'll probably honestly throw these away. I considered using them for stuffing for a little project, so I might actually do that, but we will see. But that's all I have left. So I got some out of my scrap bin. I made a project that I had previously made that I had never worn into something that I actually can and will wear now. I think it's so cute. I'm looking really boobalicious on camera. The camera adds 5 pounds. It's fine. I really enjoy this top. It looks really cute with jeans, with shorts, which is how I had it pictured on my Instagram, and it's perfect. The buttons here are from my friend Jenna. They're actually like, they have these moons on the back, but I liked it just plain. I wanted it to be something very versatile that I will actually wear. And I just like to wear it like this. Originally in my head while I was knitting it, I was gonna do a white t-shirt or tank top, like kind of high necked, and then the sweater over it. But once I executed it, it didn't look as cute as I thought. But something else I need to know. Does anyone else just like knit and the whole time they're knitting, they're thinking of outfits that they're gonna wear with the knit? Because that's all I do. And then it makes me knit faster. And then I try on the outfit and sometimes it works out and it's really cute. And then sometimes it doesn't. Usually it doesn't. And then I end up having to do something else, which that's one of my favorite parts of knitting. I like to make outfits, I realize. And I don't really like to shop. I do like to go to the thrift store, but I don't really like to shop. So my sweaters are what I play with a lot, and I just can't wait for it to get colder outside so I can wear them more, but I digress. Another thing I really enjoy about this top is just the juxtaposition it has to everything else I own in my closet. I really like the black, all black everything aesthetic. You probably can't tell from my decor, but like for my body and dressing myself, I always have my nails painted black. I wear lots of jewelry, and I have, you know, tattoos, of course. So I definitely go for a more tomboy aesthetic in my everyday wear. And then like to work, I wear a black shirt like every single day. Black is one of my favorite colors, but I love adding girlier pieces into my wardrobe because I do feel that I am a girly girl in some ways. So I do like to have those girlier pieces, which I think this definitely is, but it also can work with like my ripped jeans and my Vans and whatever. So I think that's one of my favorite parts about knitting that I'm starting to realize is I want to make pieces that I actually want to wear, that fit into my wardrobe, that I can change as I change my aesthetic or my style or how I'm feeling. And I think that's really perfect that I can do that with things I'm making with my own hands. I'm gonna take a sip of water because I've been talking for 10 minutes. Okay, also sorry if you can hear Makoa growling in the background. He's doing that, and I can't stop him no matter how hard I try. So the next thing that I'm going to show you is another finished item. This is the item that I worked in between when I was doing this originally with the lace. I put it down and then I started on this item. I also filmed a yarn review for this yarn, so I will do a little update on how I'm liking the yarn now if you watched that video. And if you didn't, this yarn was Kilborn, I don't remember. I'll put it on the screen. As you can see, I don't remember a lot of details about things, but it's so cute. This is the Moonset tee by Ozetta. I'm sure you guys have seen it. It's becoming pretty popular right now. And I have it in this purple, dusty purple color, lilac. And it has the similar thing that my cardigan has here. It has the placket and then it has this cute little cross in the front. And it's just a cute little tee. I've worn it a couple times since I finished it. It's such good quality. I did have a little bit of yarn left over from this, and honestly, I do kind of want to rip out the bottom since I've been in that kind of mood lately, as I've been totally okay with frogging things and making them something I'm gonna wear. So I might consider now ripping out the hem, which will suck because it is an I-cord bind off, but I think it will be a good idea in the end to just use the rest of the yarn that I have to lengthen the body by an inch or two. I think that would be worth it for me. It is a nice length. I wear high-waisted jeans most of the time, and yeah, my belly button's like right there. So it goes a little bit below my belly button. It's definitely a doable top. I just know that I like my tops a little bit longer, and now that I've been like doing this project where I use up all of the yarn that I have by doing the sleeves first and then going back and doing the body, I've really been able to eyeball how much I'm going to be able to knit with how much yarn I have, which has been really fun because I don't have a scale and I don't really feel like buying one. So yeah, this is just a very basic tee. It's knit pretty similarly to this one and all drop shoulder top down sweaters. So you will see in the back there is a seam. Kind of gives you like a raglan vibe, but it does sit on the back, not your shoulder. So that is something I want to point out. You do start with the placket area and then pick up for the back stitches, and you knit the back all the way until the bottom of the sleeve, or the bottom of the sleeve, I think, and then you pick up one of the shoulders, knit it, the other shoulder, knit it, join, knit in the round, and then you just pick up the sleeves. So the neck is part of it, and the top down. You don't have to go back and pick up any stitches. You knit it as you go, which I love. And I am definitely going to knit at least one more of these. I really want to try knitting for Olive. I've been hearing everybody talk about it lately, probably for a while, but recently I've been paying attention, and I haven't bought yarn in so long, and I really don't have a desire or a need to buy yarn. I have a very healthy stash of yarn. In fact, let me just show you a little bit of it. It is hidden in here, and then the rest of it's in some totes under my bed because I recently have just been redoing my space, and I did decide to put my yarn into hiding for a little bit, not because I'm ashamed of it, but just because I don't think it fits my aesthetic as much anymore. Yes, so I want to try knitting for Olive and maybe one of their like summery yarns, and then if I like that, maybe I'll try one of their mohairs. But anyways, I haven't had a desire to buy yarn, but I don't have any more summer yarns, and I could do a yarn review with it, which I think would be fun. I do enjoy doing yarn reviews because I do it through the entirety of a project I'm working on, so it motivates me to finish a project as well. And I've really been loving these summer tops. Like I said, I've worn this a couple of times. I do know in my knitting review video, I said that it was a little bit scratchy when I wore it, and I think that's becoming less true as I wear it more. It is getting softer the more I wear it. However, it does still have those bits of that plant-based yarns tend to, especially linens, kind of a material in it, maybe like a hay or something, and I think that's what makes it pokey and itchy for me. However, it is getting much softer, and I can get over it with merino, so I can get over it with this yarn. And honestly, I would buy this yarn again and knit another sweater out of it, but I just want to try some other brands because that's fun. But like I said, I don't have any more summer yarns in my stash right now, which is kind of bumming me out because it's summertime. So I really do think I'm going to get some more yarn, which is crazy. I haven't bought yarn in 2 years, but yeah. This is my Moonset tee by Ozetta. I don't even know, there's not a lot to say about it. It's a really basic pattern, very well written, and I highly recommend it. Like, I think everybody could use a top like this in their wardrobe. You could wear it all year round, honestly, just layer it. And I think she does it in like a silk yarn, which gorgeous, beautiful drape. This is a cotton linen blend, so it is a little bit thicker. And I know that because I did use a linen silk, and it's a lot thinner and like not as dense as this fabric. But I pretty much knit it exactly to pattern. I knit the size medium, I'm pretty sure. I had 5 balls of this yarn, and like I said, I still have a little bit left over where I think I could get another inch or 2 out of the body, which is ideal, but I don't know when I'll get around to that. But it is something that I think I could see myself doing in the future, is knitting more on this body. But yeah, that's all I have to say about my Moonset tee. It took me about a month to knit, a little over a month, maybe a month and a couple days. It's just a lot of knitting. It's a fingering weight pattern. Maybe this is sport. Fingering a sport weight pattern. So it did take me quite a long time because there is a lot of purling to begin, which isn't a big deal for me. I feel like I purl just as fast as I knit. But after I did this and then I did this, it was a lot of purling. So that brings me to my next project. Another brief intermission for a drink. Okay, that brings me to my next project, which is another cozy classic raglan by Jessie May. I feel like I just finished one of these not that long ago, but I had started it forever ago, so it was about time it was finished. Anyways, this is a cozy classic raglan by Jessie May Designs. Let me give you a little close-up of the fabric. So this is another sweater that I made using yarn that I frogged from another sweater that I knit a very long time ago. In 2018, maybe 2019? Somewhere between 2017 and 2019. I'm pretty sure it was 2018 though. I knit the White Horse sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and I think I wore it one time. It was just a little bit smaller than I would like, and the neck was it was high, and it was all lace on the yoke, and honestly, that wasn't even like my aesthetic then. I just wanted to knit all the Caitlin Hunter patterns because that's what everybody was doing, which, as you can see now, I've ripped mostly Caitlin Hunter patterns out, and there's another one I'm going to show you that I'm modifying a little bit, but I decided to rip that sweater out. I've wanted to for so long, like basically since I knit it, I knew I was gonna rip it out. And I had a whole nother skein of yarn that I barely used any of, so it was just sitting in my scrap bin. And I was like, what am I gonna use one skein of DK weight yarn for that's white? Like, I'm not gonna make socks with that, and it's 100% superwash. There was no nylon in it. The yarn I used is Les Is More is the colorway, and it's by Ba Yarns. I got it at the local yarn shop that I used to go to in Columbus, and yeah, I am glad that I did what I did. I ripped it out. It was a lot simpler to rip out than the Tenya because this was a top-down sweater, so I could just find the weaved in ends and rip it out. Luckily, I did not alternate skeins with that one either, and I think that was like the second sweater that I ever knit. And yeah, I have Ravelry pages for the White Horse and for the Tenya. So if you check out my Ravelry, you would see the original knits that I had with them. There's not a picture of me wearing either of them, I don't think, because again, I knit them smaller than I would have liked. And I have always been a little bit like, I don't like to show off my body in that way too much, where things are super tight, where you're probably getting a weird vibe now because I'm wearing this really tight fitted shirt, but yeah. Anyways, I don't have pictures of those on, but I do have pictures of the finished item on my Ravelry page and my Instagram if you prefer, but you'll just have to scroll back really far. Anyways, I turned that into a cozy classic raglan by Jessie May. I did make some alterations to the sweater, and I will tell you about them, but I just used DK weight yarn. I think in the original pattern, she calls for like a fingering and a mohair, but this was a DK weight yarn. Okay, I totally just lost my train of thought and forgot how to talk for a minute. So I don't know where I was, But typically white is not my color. But again, I bought this 3 or 4 years ago, and I think it'll be nice to have a white sweater in my wardrobe. And it has these adorable speckles on it. But let's get into the modifications that I made, because I'm sure you're interested in that. First off, she calls for like a tubular bind-on. Your girl can't be bothered for that in a sweater. So if it calls for that, usually what I've been doing is doing a folded over brim. Gives me the same look. So it probably takes just as long to knit as the tubular bind-on, but it doesn't matter. And this time the stitches are slanted because I was off whenever I was joining the two together. So what I do is just knit the collar twice as long as the pattern says, and then I fold it over and then knit the working stitches with the cast on stitches. And this time they were a little off, and I'm okay with it, whatever. I made the size medium, so I followed the instructions for the size medium, and so I did the short rows and everything. The other adjustment that I made is I decided to do a knit front back for my increase. So this is what it looks like, where she tells you to increase on hers, which is like a make one left, make one right, but it's like a weird one. It's not like just the normal make one left, make one right. I think it's a lift it increase, and I couldn't figure it out on the first one that I made, and I just didn't enjoy it. So I knew in this one that I would make an adjustment, and I think knit front back is super simple. It gives me just like a really small clean line, looks great. Nobody's gonna tell that I changed the increase on the sweater. And then I knit the body. I did not alternate skeins because I had a bunch of different balls because I had frogged another sweater. I knit the entire yoke, and when I joined for the sleeves, I just knit what I had left with the ball, which was like 1/2 inch. And then I did the sleeves according to pattern. They are full length, but I like to pull them up to about bracelet length because I hate when they're like right at my wrist. That bothers the crap out of me. And then after I did both sleeves, I did the rest of the body with all the yarn that I have left. And this is all the yarn that is remaining from 4 skeins of DK weight yarn, which is great. Nothing is going back into my stash or my scrap bin. I love that. And it is something I need to say, when you rip out yarn, it is crinkly, it is ramen noodly. As you can see in this example, this is what ripped out yarn, especially when it's been knit up for 3 or 4 years, looks like. So it does, some people will wash their frogged yarn. I did not do that, and everything blocked out beautifully. There were times that I was certainly worried that the crinkled yarn, when it did block out, the gauge would be still a little wonky. And honestly, I can say there are probably some spots in here that would look like that if I looked closely enough. But it blocked out beautifully. You can see my stitches are pretty nice and consistent on both projects. So I'm very happy that it worked out that way, and I didn't have any issues that made me very upset. And it's really all I have to say. I did do tubular bind offs on the sleeve cuffs and on the bottom, which took forever, but I honestly enjoyed it a little bit more than doing the Jenny's stretchy bind off, which is what I usually do. I almost always do the Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off. And I'm still gonna keep doing that because honestly, I don't think that this tubular bind off looks amazing. Like, it looks like it's supposed to, but I still think Jenny's surprisingly stretchy bind off looks way better, especially with my tension. I think for everybody it's different, but I have a very tight tension no matter what I do. So with her bind off, it gives me more stretch than this, but it doesn't look bowed out. Like this, honestly, on the hem does look like it bows out a little bit. When I'm wearing it, it's fine, but I just wanted to note that in here. And there are parts that I messed up on because I got distracted by watching TV and reading subtitles. However, one thing I wanted to say also is I was watching the Tiny Human Knits podcast. I love her podcast. As soon as I see an episode comes up, I click on it immediately. I used to watch her when I was walking dogs. Well, not watch her, but listen to her when I was walking dogs, and she just became one of my favorite podcasters. So she always talks about how her purl stitches are tighter than her knit stitches. So when she knits her ribbing, she will do a short row turn and then knit the ribbing basically inside out. So it's neater. And For me, my purl stitches, I noticed when I was knitting this project, are also tighter than my knit stitches. So I decided to do that trick, and honestly, I will never go back now. So I have the tighter stitches. This is a perfect example. So this is what's normally on the inside of my work, but instead, I wanted it on the outside because it looks neater than this is what would normally be on the outside of my work. So this is what people would typically see. You know, see how like loose my knit stitches are compared to my purl stitches? And so I decided to try her trick of doing the one German short row so I can turn my work and then do the knitting the opposite direction that I normally would. And it's amazing. It's a game changer for me. I'm going to forever be doing that because it looks so much better on my pieces and it looks more finished and professional. One other thing that I wanted to mention with this project is I did go down a needle size for the collar and the cuffs, but I did not go down a needle size for the body hem here, the ribbing, because I don't like when it like squeezes in on the bottom ribbing, so I never go down a needle size for the bottom ribbing. I always just keep it the same as the body. And then really the ribbing is just for the design feature more than cinching in. So it's very cozy and relaxed. I love how relaxed the sweater is. And let me sit up so you can kind of see how long it is. So this is how long 4 skeins of DK weight yarn got me. Pretty much exactly where a standard sweater would sit. Honestly, I would like it a little bit longer because I really like long sweaters and tops lately, but it is what it is. That's the yarn that I had. I didn't have to buy any, and I have a sweater that I'm actually going to wear this year. Cannot wait for the cooler weather to come. I don't know if it's ever gonna come, but I'm gonna be ready, let me tell ya. Okay, I've been talking so much, and I'm just gonna show you one more item, which is a work in progress. It's not my only work in progress, but this isn't gonna be like a typical podcast. I really just wanted to show you how I was redoing some old projects. And I also forgot to mention, I originally bought this yarn to knit a tenya with, but whenever I was ripping out my tenya, I was like, I'm not gonna knit a tenya with that yarn because I never wore the tenya. It's not my style anymore. So I decided to go find something that was my style, which is something super basic. And I'm glad that I didn't just like stick in my mind, because that's how I usually am. I'm like, nope, I bought that yarn for this project. That's what it's gonna become. So I'm super glad that I didn't force myself to do that, because now I have something that I have been wearing. But anyways, back to my work in progress. This is a project that I knit in 2019 with some Sweet Georgia Tough Love sock. And I had basically 2 skeins left over because I had like 3/4 of a skein of this, and then I had the rest of the contrast color that I used in the sweater. This is the Syphilis. I think it's the Syphilis. I've been sitting here racking my brain trying to figure out what this sweater is by Caitlin Hunter. Pretty sure it's the Syphilis. And I did this, and it was a weird fit because of the sleeves. I found it last night after I pulled out all my sweaters, and I posted a picture on Instagram, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, a couple people told me I need to film a podcast just all about all my sweaters, which I still might do. But I found this when I was pulling out all the sweaters, and I was like, ooh, I actually like that. So I tried it on, and I actually really liked the fit of the sleeves now. However, we're gonna get into that in just a second. But I knew that I had like pretty much 3/4 of a skein of this yarn left, and I knew I wasn't gonna make socks with it, and I didn't know what I was gonna do. So I decided to rip out the body and knit the body longer, because I knew I would enjoy this more. It did already go past, like it went to my hip bones already, so it was already plenty long. It wasn't too cropped, but I knew if it was just a little bit longer, I'd be happy. As I ripped out, I put in a lifeline. Well, I just added in the needles, and then I ripped back the ribbing. I found that I alternated skeins for this sweater. So that caused a little bit of confusion as to what the hell was going on, but I finally just like figured out what I could figure out and started knitting on the body again. As you can see, it's a little bit crinkly because I did alternate skeins with part of the yarn that was attached to the sweater with the yarn that I had left over. So it's a little bit crinkly. I am gonna block this again once I'm finished. But as I've been sitting here knitting on the body, I was like, well, I don't really need to add that much to the body. It was already pretty long. I decided that I think I am going to rip out the sleeves to the sweater and make them long sleeves, and I do have lots of this light purple left as well that I'm going to do the color work on the sleeves, so I'll have plenty to make the body as long as I want, and I'll have plenty to knit the sleeves longer, and I think this is going to be one of my most worn sweaters. The gauge on this is so loose. This is the loosest gauge I've ever had with a fingering weight yarn. Like, I don't know how I got it this loose. I'm pretty sure I knit this with my Leica needles, which makes a lot of sense. I probably would have knit it with a 4.5 millimeter. I know I talked about it in a podcast for sure. You can find it if you go watch some of my old podcasts. But now I'm knitting it on my Chiagoos, and I am using a 5 millimeter and trying to keep my gauge loose because I am a tight knitter. So I'm just trying to match the gauge to the best I can, which is going to be impossible to tell because the yarn is kind of crinkly from the one I ripped back, and I'm pretty sure it's pretty close though. Like, I think when I block it, it's gonna look good. Like, you're not gonna be able to tell. But 5 millimeters with this fingering weight yarn, it's been fun, but it feels awkward for me because, like I said, I usually have a really tight gauge. But with the loose gauge, I love the way it feels. It feels so nice. It's very slouchy. I tried it on, it's super slouchy. The sleeves already go to where my elbow bends, so I don't have that much I need to knit. So I'm gonna have plenty of yarn, I'm pretty sure, to, like I said, knit the body longer by like 3 or 4 inches and adjust the sleeves. And I think this will be a sweater that I wear a ton going into fall. I might even wear it in the summer because it's like, with the light gauge, it's so, I don't know, it feels so breathable. I could totally wear this into the office and be comfortable all day. I did just snag a float. Let me show you my floats. Oh, they actually look really good. Like I said, I knit this in 2019, so a couple of years ago. And I remember when I knit this, this was never a pattern that I ever thought I was gonna knit, but I did own it because Caitlin Hunter had a sale prior, probably like the year prior, and I bought a bunch of her patterns just to have. And whenever I was a Sweet Georgia ambassador, I got this yarn and I really wanted to knit this pattern with it. Look how gorgeous that yarn is. I could not tell you the names of these yarns. I'm probably not going to remember to look them up either, so sorry. I don't think they still sell them anymore because this was part of a spring collection, so it might be discontinued anyways, like most of this yarn, because I've had it in my stash for so long, which is the bad part of using from stash. I can't tell you guys and you guys can't go buy it. But yeah, this is the simplest that I am working on right now. This is what I'm going to do the rest of the afternoon, probably into the evening, because I don't have any plans today. It is 4th of July and I am not celebrating because America has nothing to be patriotic for at this time. And I'm going to leave it at that because we came here for knitting and maybe some plant talk, which I'm going to get into right now. I am so excited. One of my Hoya ballooned for me. It has 2 blooms on it right now. It's the first blooms I've ever had on a Hoya, and it's so exciting. It's my Hoya Lacinosa, which I love. It hangs in my kitchen window. I posted a picture on my plant Instagram of both of the blooms, and it makes my heart so warm. It smells delicious, and I'm so happy it's growing season. Everything is growing. It looks like a freaking jungle in here right now, if you couldn't tell with my Monstera here. It's getting huge. It needs a repot. Don't know where I'm gonna put this thing when it gets too much bigger, and it's like literally taking over. I have plants all around. If you guys could just see this room. I did, like I said, take my yarn out of display and store it away a little bit, and I used the shelf that I had it on for more plants, and it looks so fabulous. Everything is like bushy and fun in my house. I plan on decorating this wall. I have been thrifting and trying to collect things to make like a huge gallery wall with a mix of like plants and books and pictures and baskets and whatever ends up on there. And I think that will complete this room. I always say that. I'm like, oh, the room's complete. And then I'm like, oh wait, I want to do this. Into the bedroom, I am looking to get a rug before the end of summer. I've been wanting to get a rug in there for a while and hang some stuff on the walls. I get to work from home bi-weekly now, so I'm spending a lot more time at home. The bedroom, I put a desk in there so I can put my work stuff so I don't have to work at the kitchen table, which has been amazing. And so I want to hang some stuff above the desk so I have something to enjoy looking at all day, because working from home. I love it. It has its perks, but I also do appreciate getting to leave my house every once in a while, which is why it's nice to be doing it bi-weekly instead of like permanently at this time. But they did split me and my best work friend up, so we're on different schedules, which has been a really big bummer, but it's okay. We're making do. And then going more into work overtime, I've been on ATM on call 2 weeks prior, and I'll have it again this coming up week. So that's been great for knitting though, because I don't feel the need to go out and do anything, which has been nice because I've just been chilling at home, which also can kind of be a bummer because I do like to go out. But yeah, I've just been appreciating my time to myself lately and trying to really be content with being alone. So I haven't been like dating, I haven't been really going out with friends, which is not really something I did much anyways, because most of them are in relationships, and so when we do see each other, it's like we go out for dinner and a beer, or I make dinner and go over there and they come over here. So things like that. It's not so much going out to party and stuff like that, which is totally fine. Not my scene. But me and Makoa have been enjoying going on walks, but it's been really, really hot here, as I'm sure it's been really, really hot for everyone. The humidity here is insane. I am in southern Indiana in the Midwest, so humidity, I'm sure most of you understand it. So it hasn't been enjoyable to go outside, to say the least. So we're making do. Little late night walks. I will say the good thing about this heat is it's killed my lawn, so I don't have to mow the lawn. I weed eat maybe like once every 2 weeks so far, and I haven't had to do anything. It looks dead. I'm not gonna really say it sucks because I'm not mad about it, but you know. I did also start a garden earlier this season, and something's growing. I'm pretty sure it's squash, and I'm pretty sure everything else has died because I can't keep up with watering because it's been so hot and there's been no rain. So I kind of just given up, and I'm like, whatever happens, happens at this point, because I don't have a working hose. So I've been carrying out like pitchers of water, and it's just not enough because it like dries out immediately. So we're working with squash right now. It's possible that some of my tomatoes could come through for me, but we will see. I'm really hopeful on that one because I love tomatoes. But nonetheless, that's my garden update. And that's really all I have to talk about. Those are some of my projects that I've worked on and have been working on. There's another one that we're not going to talk about because I'm uncertain of it. But yeah, I guess I'm going to go ahead and film this video. I just filmed this video. I'm going to go ahead and end this video. If you guys liked it, please give it a thumbs up. It helps me know that you guys like this kind of content and I should keep making it. Leave a comment down below on what you're working on right now, or if you plan on repurposing a project after watching this video. And subscribe to my channel for more random content. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!